Welcome back to another video. So I did not expect the first video I posted to Facebook about 2 years ago to kind of gain so much popularity. So I'm going to kind of do a walkthrough today and show how I finished like modernizing or restoring this 2002 Scout 172 Sportfish. So if you watched the last video, that covered most of the cleaning. I rewired it from bow to stern, and then over the past 2 years, kind of upgraded more of the electronics and finished cleaning up some stuff. So went with a full NMEA 2000 setup. The last video I had just a regular like Echo Map UHD. It didn't have a lot of the technology in it, and before we went on a trip about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I just bit the bullet, made the full switch over to NMEA 2000, and then have slowly been adding various accessories that I'll show in this video. And we've gone through the setup, dialed it in for what we like for inshore fishing and just cruising around the tidal creeks down here in South Carolina. But with that, let's hop right into it. All right, we're going to start up here at the bow, work our way to the stern. From outside the boat, kind of give a brief overview and recap. I'll link the previous video down in the description and up in the corner. But quick overview, Minn Kota Tarova. It's the 80 thrust 24 volt. And I did some upgrades to it, which I'll show in just a little bit. But when the new Quest series came out, I upgraded the head to get the new advanced GPS from the regular spot lock. And I'll cover that once we get actually inside at the center console. And I'll link everything down in the description. I commonly get a lot of questions on where I got things, and figured that might be the easiest. I forget the company, but it's like a trolling motor upgrade kit. It was like maybe $500, and it gives you the new remote with all the drift features, which was really key for us, and kind of modernized a 2015 trolling motor, brought it up to 2024. So still have the ice blue Yeti cooler we use as the seat. The actual seat on the cooler is just like a generic cooler seat cushion made for a Yeti 65. And then affordable boat cushions down in Florida made me this backrest. Got a white fire extinguisher since the last video, nothing major. Still have the shallow water anchor mounted on the starboard side. We upgraded that to it's like a 9 or 10 foot pole by it's like super stick anchors to kind of match the power pole. I got some guide pole covers that are embroidered with the Scout logo. The PVC ones were kind of rubbing on the rub rail real bad, and so we decided to get the foam ones. The biggest thing that people commonly ask about is the Scout decal. So before we had the die cut that I just found online, and then now we have the modern style, and they have a red pinstripe around the outside. And those actually came directly from Scout. So I reached out to one of the parts and service members here at Scout, and they actually sold those. And I think at the time they were like $75 for the set. Of course, that was a couple years ago. I don't know what they are now. The hull is still shiny as it always was. I still use the Meguiar's premium. I'll link it also down below. I forget exactly what I use, but before the off season, I ceramic coated the boat with Griot's Garage ceramic coat, kind of keep stuff from sticking to it while it was being stored through the winter. So I mentioned the NMEA 2000, so we'll start at the back and explain kind of what we got going on. I added the external Garmin antenna, and that's just a through like deck fitting, and you won't be able to see it a lot of this, but in this back compartment is one of the backbones, and then it runs up to the console. So I added the heading sensor with the antenna built in just to get more precise. There's a lot of interference up on the console, and so I needed an external antenna away from all the interference I have going on up there with all the electronics. I think when we were just floating out in the creeks, I had like 12 to 15 feet of accuracy, which is fine, but sometimes we notice that getting annoying. And so now I think we're down to like 2 or 3 feet of accuracy, which is a little better. Happy with it. The biggest change, I completely sanded and repainted the outboard, and I'll put some pictures of it. It looks brand new. So it's the factory Yamaha paint, and I got decals from a website online, and they matched perfectly, lined up. And it's the OEM paint. I did not paint the lower unit, so it's still one of the newer colors. There's like 2 different colors of Yamaha paint, and so I got the one that matched the 2000's 2-stroke instead of the 4-stroke paint. And I think the lower unit, it had been replaced when we bought it, and it was the newer color. But I went to AutoZone, and you can see the metallic flake. So the final clear coat and hardener, they had a candy, and so I decided to go with that because the OEM stickers have a lot of metallic flake in them, and I wanted that to go with the clear coat. So there's a lot of metallic in the clear. You can see it really nice in the sun, but that really changed it from the old faded. I mean, everything's shiny. It looks brand new. I still have this one platform. It's been working great from Blackwater Welding. If any boat parts need to be made, that's the company that I'll go with as long as they're here. They make leaning post and T-tops, hard tops, swim platforms, really anything that's aluminum that needs to be welded, they can knock it out for you. Still on the Charleston trailer. That's been great. I probably have close to 3,000 miles of towing. Never had any problems with any of it. But we'll go ahead and hop into the boat and go through what's changed with the console and everything. Start and go through the actual cockpit of the boat. Some of it's going to be hard to see, so I'll throw some pictures up on the screen for what I've done. The port live well, still using it as a live well. I think in the last video I had an anchor or something in there. Got all that organized after the last couple of trips, but been using that as a live well. We'll typically put 2 Yeti 5-gallon buckets under the leaning post. One of those typically has the cast net, and then the other one is a bait bucket, just for if we want shrimp and mud minnows, just to keep them separate. Everything in the battery compartment's the same. I did switch over to, and you can't see it of course, but I switched over to an AGM battery from AutoZone. And then one of the NMEA backbones, of course, is there for the rear accessories. So up on the console, I had New Wire Marine make switches for me. I still need to peel off the top labels that are old, but everything's now an etched switch that glows. It's still the PowerPole Pro Series 1, so I have the switch up on the console, but I managed to get the accessory where it uses the old remote. So now I have remote capability. It doesn't have any of the auto sensors that the new ones have. Like, I can't double click and let it go up. A click is like 2 automatic stops to click it. So it doesn't have the smart features, but it still works. With all the new rules that passed where you had to wear the kill switch, it was a little bit of a reach up here to the lean-in post, and so I installed the Fell Marine Man Overboard Plus. Love that. So usually I'll wear this around my neck with the whistle and the power pole, and then the actual Fell Marine, you just click the button and now it's paired. And it might be hard to see with the sunlight, but there's now a blue light, or it's green, it's ready to go. There's a blue light up at the top, and you can pair 3 additional fobs that if they get too far from the boat, it'll actually start alarming. But this fob here is the main fob that the boat cannot start unless that is connected. So now if you turn the key, it'll fire. And then if this fob's gone, like for instance, if the driver falls overboard, then the boat will automatically shut off once the switch loses a Bluetooth connection. So of course that's submerged underneath water or 30 feet away. It will disconnect. Now the coolest thing was, for basically the selling point for us, if you fall in wearing the lanyard, nobody can restart the boat and come get you if there's somebody else on the boat. And with the swift currents where we typically boat, that was kind of a concern. So the cool thing about the Fell Marine is, so like right now it's disconnected, so it does not know this switch existed. If you press and hold this for 10 seconds, so 3 is pairing, but keep holding it down, it'll pair again. And then at 10 seconds, it'll alarm, and now it's overridden, and somebody can start the boat and come rescue you or get the boat. If for some reason something happens with the fob, it's a temporary override, which that was really cool. And then you can click it to stop the boat. That was one of our favorite things, modernizing the boat and getting the Man Overboard Plus. So back talking about the trolling motor. This is the new remote, and I mounted a ram mount with the attachment for it. So this is the new Minn Kota 1 boat, and I typically will keep it mounted up there unless we're fishing, and then I'll grab it and walk around with it or keep it clipped to my belt. So the motor's off right now, but the coolest thing about it that changed is when the motor's on, it actually will tell you the direction that the motor's facing in relation to the boat, which most of the old ones just told you your speed, and then now it actually knows what direction it's facing. So for instance, last time we went out fishing, I got the motor pointed in the direction I wanted to drift along a set of docks and just hit go. And it kept the boat with the bow at a 45 to the docks and just moved us. And it took into account the heading sensors and everything to know where the actual boat was. So I didn't have to worry about the stern swinging around and hitting a dock. It kept it perfectly at a 45 going against the tide, fishing those docks. So that was really cool. Really made it worth it. And then I love the new screen with all the information. And then I don't have many more Humminbird or Minn Kota branded accessories, so it's not paired with the chart plotter. So I upgraded from the last video to the Echo Map. I think it's the 93 SV. It's the one with the side view Ultra HD. It's like the GT56 transducer. But everything's hooked up with NMEA. So if you go into charts, I have satellite charts turned on right now from fishing. It was one of the newer updates. But I added the Garmin GFS 10. It's the flow sensor that runs off NMEA. And right now I've emptied the boat to reset the sensors and everything. But it'll actually tell you your total fuel remaining. And then it'll give you the economy also as you're running. And then through all that, it calculates your cruise range. And that's been really nice having to accurately figure out where we're going. But I have, just to see, I have 156 miles on the boat since doing all these electrical upgrades. And that's been about probably 2 years now that we've had all these changes done. And then, of course, the maximum speed. That's about as fast as this boat can go with the 90. I added the VHF used to be in here in the previous video. Used to be mounted up top. And we started using that more and using that for weather alerts. And so I made the switch over to the Garmin from the ICOM just to get everything NMEA connected together. But it's the Garmin 115 VHF. And then I mounted that where the kicker head unit was. And that fit perfect. And I really like the way that looks next to the Yamaha Pinnacle. And then just mounted the handset remote up at the top. And then when I got rid of the kicker head unit, I made the switch over to Fusion. So I got a little Fusion head unit that I mounted down below. It's Bluetooth, and that's been really nice having that. The other thing that I added was console lights. So inside the glove box, it's blue. And inside the console, I also had Boat Outfitters make a cell phone bracket that you can kind of see in there. It's just a little net that screws in. But the console lights are amazing. Let me see if I can get a good look at it. I'm going to have to add pictures of what's going on inside the console because it's pretty dark in there. But there's now a light up top that I added. Like I said, I'll have to add a picture, but I had Boat Outfitters make me a big block of starboard to get the Minn Kota precision charger mounted up on the wall. And that's just through bolted. And then I got the cutoff switch and a breaker for the trolling motor batteries. And those are down there. You probably can't see them, but those are Ionic Lithium. They're 50 amp hour batteries. But we kind of did we pulled everything out of the boat and went through what we actually needed. So in the console, we actually have a Yeti 5-gallon bucket with the cast net and the extension cord to charge the batteries. And then I got a Yeti Go box, the little, I think it's the 15. It's the little one that has all the tools and registration. And then there's 2 fenders, the throw cushion, and then the anchor for the stern anchor. And then we keep a dive flag in there in case somebody hops in the water. Box up here on the bow. I had all the life jackets stowed in here. and we clean that out. So now we either use this as a cooler if there's a lot of people going, since it is insulated, but it's kind of heavy. So either we'll put ice in there and use it as a cooler, or we'll put the Yeti hopper backpack in there and it fits perfectly. So we'll throw that in there with the Yeti Pangea backpack. It usually has all our camera gear in it. We'll throw that in there. And then the last thing, up in the anchor locker, I've got both anchors, the big one for the bow and then the smaller one for the stern anchor, both in there. And then it's about 300 feet of anchor road for the bow anchor. And those, the little hack, put your anchor road on an extension cord reel. And that keeps it nice and neat. And you can roll it up with one hand. Much easier than dealing with doing it by hand. But that's about everything that's changed. There's not really anything left to really do. We've been enjoying it for the last couple years like it is. Oh, and then the life jackets, like I was mentioning, those actually are under the leaning post. There's 4 just your typical orange life jackets under the leaning post, and the Taco Marine, it's made for tackle. But we went ahead and put the life jackets in there because usually I'll bring a tackle bag. I don't leave it on the boat. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope that helped somebody out there with fixing up an older boat. Like I said, I know the first video I made kind of got popular within the Scout Facebook group, and I can't believe this boat's over 20 years old. I mean, we still get comments that people think it's brand new whenever we take it out to the sandbar, or even whenever it's in the repair shop, they can't believe how old it is. I mean, it's still got that shine like it just left the factory. But thanks for checking out the video. Hope it helps somebody out there with fixing up your boat.